Good afternoon, Jerry Upchurch here from Atlanta, Georgia. Just want to get a note out to you today. I'm still reading the book, You Are the Placebo, The Mind Matters, Making the Mind Matter, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Fantastic book, if I didn't tell you that. But basically, today, You Are the Placebo, and the subtitle on this are Thoughts and Feelings. Thoughts and Feelings. So what Dr. Joe is telling us here is that by the time we're about 30 years old, we have developed and trained our body to have its own subconscious mind. Now that may sound funny, but the mind is actually defined as the brain in action. So our brains in action actually can relate to our bodies, because over a period of time we train our bodies by habitual actions and reactions to continuously respond to external stimuli in a certain way. And Dr. Joe is telling us that we can actually train our minds and our bodies to respond to internal stimuli the same way. And internal stimuli meaning thoughts and feelings. So basically what I'm trying to say here, and what Dr. Joe is trying to say, is the thoughts are actually the language of the brain, and the feelings that we have in our bodies are actually the language of the body. So feelings that we've had due to external stimuli or internal thinking has created our body brain, he calls it. And in order to, what we're really going to get into today is the healing effects that we can create in our feelings and in our brain, our thoughts, to heal our bodies of situations that we don't want to have anymore. So, and we all have those things. So just as we talked about the other day about the brain and the thought processes, the Bible says that we should take every thought captive, so that when something happens and he also says cast down imaginations. That's what the Bible says. So in the same way, we are to take our thoughts and capture that thought, consciously capture that thought, and create a new thought in that thought's place, so that we can eventually over time cause those neural connections that are causing healing in our body to fire and wire. And we've also said firing is wiring. When you fire that neural connection, you're actually making that wiring in there stronger. So what I didn't know was that the body responds the same way. So we have habitually trained our body to respond in a certain way, and when that body responds to any of our feelings, a chemical in our mind is produced in our brain that goes out into our body to either heal or to hurt based on the thought that we had or the feeling that we had in our body. Does that make sense? So in order to have a more positive effect on our bodies, we need to capture every feeling. Like the Bible says, take every thought captive. What Dr. Joe is saying is take every feeling captive. And when we take that feeling captive, when we consciously recognize that we've got a feeling in our body that we don't want, say a stress mechanism or something that pops up that we don't want, then we consciously capture that feeling and reverse it to something different. We've got to train ourselves to respond differently to situations. And typically to do that, you might have to plan ahead of time. If this happens, I'm going to do this. If A happens, I'm going to do B. I'm not going to do what I used to do all the time. I'm going to act differently. I'm going to feel differently. And by doing that, we are creating a different chemical in our body that causes a healing effect. And like he says in his book, he says that chemical only lasts from a few seconds to a couple of minutes. But by repeatedly forcing ourselves to think a positive thought or do a positive thing, that causes that mechanism, that neural connection to fire more often and wire more, a better connection. And eventually those old connections come loose. We don't have those anymore. They just dissipate, and we always have this new response to that situation. So what I'm trying to tell you is that consciously think about how your body is feeling because of some external stimuli or something like that, and then consciously change that to a feeling that you want. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but I've described a lot of this in detail in my blog, so take my blog and look it over, give me some feedback on that. But the same thing applies to our to our businesses. What we want you to do is concentrate on what you want in your life and in your business, and consciously be aware of what you don't want to happen, and consciously be aware of what you want to happen in your business, and then start making changes in your thought processes that causes your body to create a good feeling about this plan of action that you're going to take, and things will start changing in your business as well as in your body. So with all that in mind, I want you to click on the link below in our blog, or if you're on Facebook or YouTube, click on the link, and Facebook, it'll be the link above, and then YouTube, there's a link down in the description section. So give me some feedback on what you're thinking about this. Feelings and thoughts. Thoughts and feelings create our mind habits and our body habits. So keep that in mind. Click on the link below. Give me some feedback. Tell me what you think. Hey, have a blessed day.